For almost 200 years, the beauty and health of the Belizean Barrier Reef has been recognized and championed by scientists and nature lovers. But within the last 2 decades, natural and man-made disasters have taken a serious toll on this World Heritage Site. Threats that pose irreversible consequences to Belize's marine environment.
We've just started scuba diving in the early 60s, and so really have just lately had an opportunity to study what's going on underneath the sea.
In Belize, the reef is approximately 150 miles long and is home to 70 hard coral species, 36 soft coral species, 500 different types of fish, and hundreds of invertebrates. Reefs provide coastal protection, support the fisheries industry, and attract more than 2/3 of Belize's annual visitors. But according to the experts, this valuable and fragile ecosystem is disappearing at record rates.
Overall, the decline in coral cover has been, we're estimating, at least 40% just in a short period of time.
The severe coral loss is attributed to several factors, namely bleaching, where a spike in water temperatures associated with global warming causes the coral to expel the symbiotic algae. As a result, the vibrant coral colors are reduced to a skeletal white. Other contributors include hurricane damage, overfishing and illegal fishing, and sedimentation. Simultaneous to the loss in coral cover has been noticeable decreases in commercially viable species such as the spiny lobster and queen conch. With traditional products becoming scarce, local fishers turn to new species, such as the parrotfish, to compensate. Pretty soon, the parrotfish was rapidly becoming the most commonly caught fish. Grazing fish, such as the parrotfish, play an integral role in maintaining the health of the reef by feeding on the algae that would otherwise smother the coral. In recognition of the importance of grazers, in April 2009, the government of Belize passed a law to protect species like the parrotfish to give the coral a chance to recover.
Unfortunately, the problem with laws is you have to enforce them, and so I think everyone recognizes there's a lot more area in the sea to cover than there is terrestrial in terms of enforcing the fisheries laws.
Over the last 15 years, marine biologist Lisa Karn has been monitoring coral health, specifically in the waters off southern Belize.
Elkhorn coral, the Acropora palmata, is one of the most important reef-building corals in the Caribbean. It's fast-growing, much faster growing than the boulder corals. It's branching, and again, this is one of the lobster's favorite habitats, and it was just completely gone.
Her findings match conclusions reached by other reef experts.
Marine conservation efforts are now talking about, human assistance. We may need to intervene and do things to try to more interactively help corals along.
And that's exactly what Karn has been doing for corals. With support from the Placencia community, in 2006, Karn began to harvest living pieces of coral that had broken off during storms. Using those fragments of opportunity, Karn started a coral nursery off Laughing Bird Key.
The best one for the staghorn, which is the pipe shank they call it here, the long staghorn one, we're growing those on ropes. And so starting with 10-centimeter fragments, 10 on a rope, in just a year, that has generated over 2,000 fragments. So it's a huge exponential increase in growth. So success, of course, we have to define by, if they live, how long, 5 years from now, that's great. But if they actually begin reproducing on their own, that would be the idea then, that we can sort of give nature a jump start to making more corals.
The World Wildlife Fund estimates that 27% of the world's corals have already been lost. At the current rate, 60% of this fragile habitat and the marine life that depends on it could be gone by 2032.
After Hurricane Keith, it still took a long time for the mangroves to start coming back.
Dr. Melanie McPhail is director of the Healthy Reefs for Healthy People initiative.
Coral reefs, they basically just need two things. They need clean water, no pollutants, and nice clear water that sunlight can reach the bottom, giving the coral a lot of their energy. And they need abundant fish and in the right balance. These very complicated food web interactions, between different species. They control, for example, lobsters may control the abundance of this snail that actually feeds on coral and transmits a disease to coral. So not having lobsters on the reef, or having very few lobsters, actually can lead to more of this coral disease and coral death. It's not dead. The reef is not dead. There's a lot of life on the reef, and there's enough coral that if we can foster it and let it grow and try to improve the conditions around the coral, it can come back. Nature has built-in resiliency. We just have to allow it to happen.
According to McFeel, serious efforts to improve conditions for coral growth will require tough decisions, like increasing no-take zones from approximately 4% to closer to 20%.
That's one of the things that's the easiest to do. It's the fastest thing. You can do it immediately, and the fish seem to come back in about 4 or 5 years in most cases. Tougher things are the water quality, because that comes from far away, and it comes from coastal development, and it comes from people, everybody that, you know, uses the bathroom. Where's our sewage going? Now, the treatment that we have for wastewater, you know, we don't have proper. Coral reefs need to have like tertiary, really good finished sewage treatment, and what we're doing is not that.
The outlook is grim for Belize's reefs, but the experts agree positive change will come from
little decisions every day, what we're going to eat, if we're going to drive, I mean in terms of global warming, the energy choices we make, the restaurants we choose to go to, the products we choose to buy. It sounds silly, but all of these things add up, because if there's no demand, then you don't need the supply. And so people need to educate themselves or find out other ways where they can live a happy life, but using different choices than what they have now.
For more information on coral health or how you can support local coral conservation and protection initiatives, please contact Healthy Reefs for Healthy People at www.healthyreefs.org.